This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome to Dr. TSPR show. This is Dr. Tangella Shiva Prasad Reddy alias Dr. TSPR. Namaste, Adab, hello. Again, we have a wonderful guest from Gujarat. Now I think he's in Delhi or Gujarat. He keeps shuttling. None other than Mr. Now he's in Delhi. Qamar Agha ji. Last time he was twice. He was in Gujarat when we did Ukraine war, the first on this channel. He was very categorical and clear why India is correct, why India should be correct, and how India can be correct. And the same thing happened, whether they were say fence sitting or whatever it is, because it should be in larger public interest, in India's own interest. Now I'm coming up with another big show when the entire world is trying to quiz as to why World Health Organization did not discuss the COVID-19 impact, and again it is trying to go for global health policy after inflicting so much of suffering on one side. The other side, in Switzerland, Davos, the same Switzerland, our Honorable Prime Minister was prompting that black money stashed away in Swiss banks will be brought back and every Indian will become richer. But the same Switzerland is hosting year after year or after pandemic another big industrial promotion meetings in the form of WEF, World Economic Forum. We don't understand. When you have bilateral ties, when you have parliament, assembly and panchayats, municipalities, nowhere discussion happens. All of a sudden, our entire troop is off to political leaders, administrators, and their pampered media is off to Davos, Switzerland. No one understands whether the black money is brought back or it is being converted into another form there. God knows. But on the other side, the flip side of it, no one understands the Quad, which is happening in Tokyo. The Quad group consists of America, Australia, Japan and India in a big way. Again, is it giving rise to another arms race or strategic defense interests in the wake of Ukrainian war? Russian trying to exert its ruble on the world. It has cut off the oil supplies. We have seen so many European countries and they have heeded. They have started Belarus, whatever it is. They said we will pay it in rubles as the dollar dominance come down and the China's threat is looming large. In that perspective, what India's interests are. One side Davos, converting one side you have a big policy, you want to link rivers, lot of water, agriculture based, but again promoting industries on one side. And what is happening on the defense front? Is it Quad for defense or what is it? Is it in India's interest? When inflation is high, mahangai bad gayi, prices have gone up, transport to essential commodities rates have gone up, malnutrition staring at people, so much of inequality is happening. Sri Lankan crisis is looming large, the sovereign rights mortgaged, their land being taken over by Singapore and China. And what is happening in India? In what in how Quad is going to play a role, or the Sri Lankan way. Namaste, Qamar Agha ji. Once again, very happy to host you. So how do you look at this scenario, sir?
There are a couple of things. First of all, the Russian and Chinese rise is phenomenal. Secondly, the monopoly over technology of the Western nation over technology is slipping away from their hand. Now many countries. Thirdly, the multipolar world is emerging, and Americans and Western Europe effort is to ensure, that their hegemony or their unipolar world should remain intact. So that is that's how the global politics is moving today, and there are many power of centers, new power of centers are emerging in Asia, Africa, Latin America, Europe also, and the monopoly over uh, control over the international uh, systems or international order, political or economic, is also slipping from their hand. So in this background, the Ukrainian war is going on because Russia in the last 10 or 15 years has emerged very powerful in terms of technology, in terms of not only defense technology, but in other sector, civilian sector also, it has come up in a big way, like the way they have developed uh, uh, corona vaccine, and that was supposed to be one of the best vaccine. And secondly, the other technologies. I mean, this way they have entered into pharmaceutical sector. Then they are also entering into civil aviation sector. They are also into mobile, into automobile sector. So number of sectors, they are coming in a big way. That is posing major threat to Western nation. They see that Russia maybe in next 5 or 10 years carve out their market globally. Secondly, this Russian technology compared to the Western nation is cheaper, and their spare parts are also available frequently. They are willing to manufacture it in their other countries as well as then they are also willing to deal in ruble local currencies of those countries, So therefore, the Western nations' worry is that one side China is gaining ground, emerge as a second major economic power, and now Russians are also emerging, and coming of Russia, China together, closer is also a major factor in American foreign policy or Western nations' foreign policy. So therefore, the policy was to encircle Russia. That's a old policy, as to now we have a Quad also. Quad policy is also to compete with China, especially ensure that East, Southeast Asian countries or East Asian nations do not totally align themselves with China and remains uh, in the American influence or Western nations influence. That is the, but what is actually happening, I see it the other way. Now, these countries of Southeast Asian, I'm now talking about the Quad, the countries are now, would be dealing not only with China, but also with the Quad. They would be exploiting the superpower or big powers rivalry in their own favor. They will be bringing one or two projects from China, then they will go to the America or Quad countries, get some more projects from them. This is what happening now. The Sri Lankans are doing it, the Malay is doing it, the Nepal is doing it. Everybody, now they have learned the lesson, And in fact, we have perfected this art. Throughout the Cold War era, we exploited the superpower rivalry in our favor. This is what the non-alignment was, So similar situation is once again emerging. I don't know which way it will go, but there are some positive things in the Quad, like it's economic Indo-Pacific Economic Forum, which is emerging. That is a very good thing, because infrastructure development or would be working on number of technologies would be made available to them, or um, they call it, for peace and prosperity and development. So something they will get, from there. And then they'll go to China and ask for some more thing from Chinese, that's it. That's it. This is what's going to happen in the end. To me, it looks, China, but the countries of the region, Indo-Pacific region, are most of the countries are quite worried about the expansionist nature of Chinese foreign policy or Chinese policy. The behavior is very expansionist, especially in South China Sea and East China Sea, where they are dealing with Japan, and claiming Senkaku Island, which is controlled, or which is disputed island, controlled or maintained by the Japan. So these are the things, the Vietnam and many other East and Southeast Asian nations, are disturbed with the Chinese policy of in South China Sea. That is a major concern. So let's see. It started now. 13 countries have joined this economic forum, and we'll have to wait and see how it goes up. And because Americans have promised a lot of things, uh, all the time they are talking about peace and waging war at the same time also. So let's see how now they are going to do. Are they really serious about development of this region, or they just only talk? Because talk will not help solve the problem. Things have changed dramatically, yeah, globally. You see Latin America, what is happening. It's out of control. America tried everything. The policy of containment and regime change, sanctions, all these policies are not helping. I told you earlier also, Russia is too big to be contained, and too strong a nation, Uh, see what is happening now. As you mentioned, the prices of essential commodities are going up, and recession is up there in going up in America and Western Europe, all over the world. Economy is contracting, oil prices are very high. So, there is a possibility that we may see yet another recession coming in future. Many economists are predicting. So that would be very sad. That would be a horrible situation. I mean, imagine what would happen if recession takes place once again. In such a short period of time. 2008 we had
What is Quad, sir?
America.
But what is Quad? What is Quad, and why Quad at this juncture?
Quite, it's not new. It's is the negotiations are going on for the last 8-10 years. It was Japan's initiative. With the rise of China and Chinese expansionist policies. So Japan realized that these are the four nations, um, India, Japan, Australia, and America. They are the major power in Indo-Pacific region. If they come together, only then they can prevent China's expansionist policies or China's rise in this region. So that was the motive behind it. It has two angles. One is economic forum, other is in which the US, Australia, and UK are part of the military or security alliance they have developed. India and Japan refused to join that alliance. So this way, with the rise of China is forcing all these countries to come together and especially help the local countries also want some support.
Now,
We have
this
seen
meeting
what
special, is it defense-oriented meeting now? This
there
Quad,
are two. No, this Quad is not defense oriented. This Quad is development. This is for
another D,
Indo-Pacific.
another D,
This is for
another D.
Indo-Pacific economic framework for peace and prosperity. This is for prosperity. So wait and see how much prosper. But this region is already, many countries in this region are already prosperous. They have rich resources, and um, once upon a time they used to call it, economic base.
At this
It's
particular
called.
time, ongoing Ukrainian war, China very low. They are trying to create another pandemic, but now people are not believing it. All that hangama which they have been doing. And on the other side, you see Davos, Switzerland, World Economic Forum. And here, big four countries, big four economies are meeting here with such divergent population and democracies. How do you look at this scenario? Is it another alternate World Economic, instead of World Economic Forum, you mean to say this is another development oriented approach, or it's purely for strategic defense approach, or just to wean away public mind from the failures, because now COVID may be investigated and people have 2 years lost their jobs, many have died, they have become broken. Now Sri Lankan crisis, they are not discussing, neither World Economic Forum or the Squad, they are not discussing Sri Lankan crisis, inevitable Sri Lankan crisis. How do you look at this scenario? Then what for this Squad?
Dr. Saab, this is a forum of capitalist countries. This is the forum of big entrepreneurs or multinational corporations where they sit and promote their own interest. The company's interests are being promoted. And that is World Forum, Economic Forum, Davos, where all these people met and they try to seek concessions from different countries. So that's why they invite president and head of the states and head of the government from different countries to come and whatever so that they can talk to directly them about their investment opportunities, about their future plannings, what they want to do and how they want to be profited out of it. So that is a divorce. But Quad is totally different. Quad is a forum where they want to contain China. China's there are two now. Earlier, the Chinese model of development was there. That was Belt and Road Initiative. This Belt and Road Initiative, in which mega projects were financed by China, which were unsustainable in most of the countries. See what has happened in Sri Lanka, Nepal, Maldives, and Pakistan. Even huge loans were given to the countries. They were hoping that this big infrastructure would be developed and they will make good amount of money. But what happened? The infrastructure is there, but they have unable to pay even the debts, and it's unsustainable. And the economy do not permit to have such a big, or take such big loans. That was the problem with the Chinese model, and what has happened in the end? China has taken over a number of projects like Hambantota uh, port in Sri Lanka, and in Africa, several projects are now being taken over by the Chinese. And this Belt and Road Initiative, if you look at it, it is helping only China. It's a Chinese centric. And secondly, the problem with this, it is also strengthening the dictatorial regimes in the developing nation. Of course, in most of the countries, you would find developing, these authoritarian regimes, so they are benefiting. And corruption is encouraged by they continue to make good amount of money out of these projects, these government bureaucracy and other stakeholders of these projects. So that was the problem with the Chinese model. I think they will have to review and they might come up with some other thing. Now Quad is promising. We don't know yet what sort of development projects they'll come up. They have said, and they have said many good things, but let's wait and see how much change this Quad will bring in Indo-Pacific region. It is still early to say because this region is very important. In this region, almost 4-5 uh, trillion worth of trade passes through Gulf of Hormuz to the Strait of Malacca and to Pacific region, and it is a very important. And the demand is, that this region is a the seas of this region, this is an international waterway, and they have every country has a free access over these sea lanes and can pass through this.
What is that we are gaining now? Because there are different headlines which are coming up they are making different headlines, flashing this thing, speaking to the heads. And is it just nothing but a PR building exercise of politicians or political leaders, as America is also going through the COVID pandemic and federal court judgments regarding Pfizer after effects reveal it's a big issue there. They want to divert, and another federal judge, transport mandates they have removed. Many states they're moving away. And is it now India also slowly but surely? You have seen they have reduced petrol prices after a long time, but the price rise is so high, unemployment so high, inflation so high, and so many other demands of religious nature. And same way Japan and Australia is no better. There in the Senate itself, I mean in their parliament, the people started, the elected representatives started questioning Australia on the pandemic. When they are meeting, is it nothing but a PR exercise or of any meaningful importance to these countries and the public at large?
No, no, it's not a public PR exercise, you know. It's it's a very important exercise, I believe, you know, because if they'll have to see, you know, their job, their plan is, you know, to ensure growing Chinese cloud in this region, you know, is to contain that cloud, you know, and ensure that the region remains in their sphere of influence, this Indo-Pacific, you know, because see what is happening in some countries, you know, they're moving towards China, going to China. You know, China is winning over some of these traditionally who were earlier part of the American alliance earlier. So, like Solomon Island, you know, what has happened? You have seen suddenly, you know, they joined the Chinese wagon. So these are the things, you know, which is happening. You know, very fast developments are taking place at the global level. The problem is, you know, that old order is economic or financial or political order established in the post Second World War is collapsing. So new economic order and new political or international order has to come up, you know, because when United Nations was established, most of the third world countries were still colonized, including India. India was represented by the Britishers in at the time of formation of United Nations. So that is a problem. Now these countries have become strong. They're demanding more power. They want to play greater role in international systems. And the big powers who are controlling United Nations, they're not willing to give any concession. That is a problem. This tussle is going on. And let's see how it could be
But
very
here,
bloody.
I'll put one example this way. If these Quad are planning to stop the aggressive dictatorial approach of Chinese invasion, a big example is Sri Lanka. Children have died for lack of transport because they did not have fuel to carry them to the hospital in the nick of the time. US and Australia, you have got rich, resources of coal and all. They could have come to the rescue, and even a part of island, Sri Lanka, is mortgaged to China because they are unable to pay debts, including Singapore. But how is that they could not come to the rescue of Sri Lanka in dire straits when they are it's in dire straits now? We have done a show, even MP and all participated on the same channel. The Sri Lankan speaking that time.
Well, you know, it is very difficult to say. They have their own policies, they have their own system. They are not there to. These are the countries, you know, some of these countries in colonial period, they have created famines. These are the countries, you know, part which have waged several wars, you know. So, I mean, they do talk about peace, prosperity, and as well as, you know, um, human rights. But when it comes to them, you know, look how many dictatorial regime is supported by the Western nations. So they don't care about the international order or big order or people's suffering. See what has happened in Afghanistan and Iraq. Virtually, these two countries have been destroyed, mainly because of the war waged by these countries, and they're not learning the lessons, from them. So that is a problem. And these are the concepts which you are talking. The people are dying, people are suffering. These are part of the ancient civilization, part of Asia, Africa. You would find, or Latin America, you would find such feelings, brotherhood, or uh, they, for them, the interest is primary, not the people or not the other thing. If they, otherwise, they are not for charity. They don't believe in free lunches. So they have a different system, of governance. They do give aid. They sometimes they come up, and but that is through United Nations or through some other institutions. But Sri Lanka, there are a couple of other things also. The government was so inexperienced or so also corrupt. There is a serious allegation of corruption against the government. Controlled by your family members. It's a beautiful country. Is a very nice people. They were building up a very good country. Suddenly this family comes and have captured the power. By eliminating LTT and
But
emergent.
Quad as an opportunity, because Quad as an opportunity to safeguard, and that is how they could have stopped Chinese invasion also. They could have come to the rescue of Sri Lanka in a better way. And India's neighbor, immediate neighbor, India's strategic importance, then neither it discusses Sri Lanka, neither it discusses the inflation in India, neither it discusses the suffering of NRIs there, whatever it is, what is happening in US and all everywhere, in Australia and in Japan. And how is that India strategic importance? India being a democratic country, US is a democratic country, Japan is the same way, Australia is the same way. Democracy is coming together, not discussing the suffering of the people. Then what for Quad, if not public
They,
relations? Because
they
all these
say
four
that
leaders,
no, they have a different point of view. They say that we have uh, helped develop the infrastructure, helped develop the other sector of economy, and that in turn, remove poverty, remove other things. Secondly, there are certain governments who are totally aligned themselves with China. So the Western nation will not come to help them. And these are Sri Lanka is one of them, because they have no trust in, it looks, on this current leadership at the moment. And strategically also, I don't think it's very important for them in their scheme of things.
but
Is a,
India's strategic importance now, India or Japan, because we are here players here. Japan has got a border with China, and India does have, and the only two countries, America and Australia, they're a bit far away. But how is that they are aligning with India and Japan, and with India and Japan having no strategic understanding why this Quad is all about, except for speaking about China and Russia. Now Russia is emerging stronger now. Now every country they are making them to pay in ruble. And don't you think it should have been advantaging India instead?
yes, of course, it is in advantage. India is in an advantage. India is getting cheaper oil also from Russia. So therefore, India is continuing to buy oil and continue to buy other products also from China, from Russia. And secondly, we have a traditional ties with Russia, and Russia has always helped India. So there are a number of factors. We know each other very well. And therefore, our national interest lies in continuation of maintaining ties with Russia. And
Russia, but Quad, America and Australia and Japan totally against Russia and China. You mean to say they have called Mr. Modi to reprimand him
no,
silently?
no, we are not part of the Russian alliance. We are not part of even Quad's military alliance. These are the countries are also important, which are willing to contain China, willing to contain China's growing or China is muscle flexing in this region. India alone cannot deal. So therefore, this is the alliance, coming. China's
But
uh,
speaking just against China, but right from Modi to all the businessmen and all the states, they have got so many understanding MOUs with China in trade. They still import, they are still in association. On one side, they blast China, and on side, they are doing multilateral trade agreements with China. Is it not just fooling people on one
no,
side
it's
and
not.
trying to speak something else?
It's not like this. The international relation doesn't govern like this. You are either with us or against us. We have some problem with China. We are negotiating with Chinese. We are opposed to some of the Chinese policies, like what they are doing in South China Sea or East China Sea, or how they have occupied our territories. We are demanding they should return. At the same time, India has also communicated to China that we are fully prepared to deal militarily also if it comes, uh, if China or Pakistan wages war, we are willing to fight. But at the same time, preference is to negotiate and sort out these dispute with both the countries, Pakistan as well as China. War is not going to help solve any problem. Yeah, till 70s, yes, you could achieve your objective through
That will
war. Look
destroy.
what has happened. But you can start a war, you cannot finish it. That is not in your hand, because there's so
Never.
many other actors
That's what
came
last
into
time
it.
also when we discussed Ukraine, you said the same. This is going to
Yeah,
destroy. This will be an eternal war.
oh yeah,
Many
this will
players will
be
take advantage.
many,
Human
and then
suffering.
yes, that's the problem. And second thing, look, second post World War II, Americans have waged so many wars, and in none of the wars they have achieved their objectives. Vietnam, see what has happened, or Indochina for that matter, they are out. Then now they are economically they are coming back because Vietnamese wants them. They don't want to be totally dependent on one country or China or anybody to deal. So therefore they are dealing with the Americans at the equal level. Afghanistan, nothing, no achievement. Iraq, nothing. They got. They've changed the regime but unable to form a pro-American regime. So, things have changed.
But oil resources, they are enjoying the resources. They are enjoying the resources in Iraq or whatever it is.
No,
Though they have destructed.
no, no, it's not that. It is the many other new players are emerging. China is a very major oil buyer. India has emerged as a number three oil consumer from Arab countries,
But
and
on
Indian
one
oil.
side, you ban TikTok like social media platforms. India, Modi comes and says no buying China, no crackers, no TikTok medium. But in the hindsight, lakhs of crores of business with them. How do you look at this scenario?
You cannot, no country can avoid China. No country can break ties suddenly with China. Takes time. You have to develop alternative arrangement to break with China. Even Americans cannot do that because the type of products which they are producing so cheap, and all sorts of things are they're making, that has become a global manufacturing hub. So that is a problem. We have reduced our trade with China, and plan is to uh, re uh, plan is to bring manufacturing back in India also, because we have many things we have shifted to China for production. So there is a plan, now. Emphasis is on, that we should start producing them in India. But the cost is more because China, they have a cheap labor, they have many advantages, because in a democratic setup like India, you don't get those setups, those advantages. But next 10 years, many countries would. Now, even Americans are planning, to bring manufacturing back in America because that Thatcher era policy has virtually failed. It has brought unemployment in America. It has brought unemployment in Europe, Western European countries. Even they are thinking. But it is very difficult. to bring manufacturing back, that is a tough job, for America, for Europe, for India, for any country. We can do it still because we have large number of workforce and we have resources also at the moment, So we can, but will take time. It's not easy.
It's take time, but it's not that easy. But at the same time, Quad discuss China perspective and Russian ruble is on one side dominating now. Even Europe and all Americans not able to understand. Is the dollar dominance going to come down? Is it going to help India? Inflation, rupee value has gone down. Is it a blessing in disguise? When such is the case, but India again aligning with Quad, is it a PR exercise? Or BRICS you have, again, China is a partner in India, the ambiguous Indian state, and the Prime Minister and all the political parties, blame game going on. But what is Quad all about? In one word, I'll ask Qamar Agha-ji. Before we say bye, this is what we are trying to understand. Sri Lanka burning in this region, and you see why it is burning. Lot of corruption, prices rising, everything costlier. Common man heart burns. They are getting killed or they are killing people. Chaos, there is no order. What about India? In Quad perspective, and one side World Economic Forum, God knows why our Indian politicians go for a mad rush being hosted by World Economic Forum. Who is World Economic Forum? And why should we go there when you have bilateral meetings going on in the country? Quad is happening on one side. No one discusses the crisis, inflation, and how pandemic has created chaos. And where is the authenticity of pandemic? No one discusses. Nothing. What is the content in vaccines or medicines used? No one discusses. Autopsy or postmortem report? No one discusses. These are all burning issues. But before I say bye, sir, like last time, India, if is going to become a major partner in Quad, India should quit BRICS.
No, why should it quit BRIC? It should continue with the BRIC. BRIC is a very important, forum. We have that provides us a platform to meet with our adversaries at time, and we should continue with the BRICS. BRICS is a very important. I mean, we should see to it that BRICS should also, because that is a different region. Central Asia, China, Russia, India, Brazil. They are the countries. South Africa, they are part of it, So we have to have BRICS. We cannot ignore BRICS at all, And
You cannot ignore BRICS at all, and but at the same time we have
no,
Quad
these are
ignoring
setbacks.
China.
Setbacks keep coming and going. Problems
Setbacks
keep
keep
coming.
coming and going because China, India, South Africa,
That's a
and what
tough competition. That's a tough competition between China's interest. China doesn't want to see India emerges as a major power or as a major factor. I mean, it's not today. Even during the Mao's time, when Nehru promoted non-alignment, China refused to join that, and China went for a war with India. So Chinese see that India's rise is there uh, somehow, decline. They don't want to see India emerging. That's another problem. So therefore, we have to deal with the number of these are the regional forums, and
right.
when we have seen when international forums fail to deliver, so you see the emergence of regional bodies. And regional bodies have a lot of potential, and they can
But
solve
I
many.
don't think Quad is a regional thing. Australia and America out of this continent they are
But
joining and they're
no,
in Tokyo.
they are outside powers are joining, uh, but dealing with the Indo-Pacific. Pacific is part of America and Australia. It connects, Japan, India, so that way it is connected.
So that way it's
So
connected.
anyway,
And
thank
what should
you.
be the takeaway? What else should be the takeaway from Quad?
No, it's still early to say. Let's wait and see how it emerges, how it develops. How much money comes in, how many projects they finance, how much benefit the countries are going to get out of it, we'll have to wait and see, Dr. Reddy. Thank you.
We have to wait and see and how much money, but it should not be at the cost of degrading our own environment, our own resources. Because there is no discussion when such a big thing happens on the floor of parliament, because we are very well equipped. Ours is a people participatory constitutional democracy. Nothing is discussed at the panchayat level, municipalities level, corporations level, assembly or Lok Sabha. All of a sudden these leaders take off, and as if they are representing, we are there. They are forgetting that they are the public representatives, they are our representatives. When they go to such big meetings like Quad, in the midst of what is happening in China, big changes happening in Russia, and our Sri Lankan neighbor burning here, severe crisis, and within India, high prices when you compare to 2020. Essential commodities thrice the rates have gone up. Neither farmer is happy who is producing, nor the consumers like us who are trying to buy. Overcoming in the midst of pandemic, children losing education, everything becoming costlier, people losing employment. When such is the case, and ignoring BRICS, part of Brazil, China, Russia, and it's a big way, South Africa, India joining Quad, in which way it is going to help? Is it just nothing but a public relations exercise for these world leaders? Because our American President Joe Biden, or for that matter Australia, they are facing a heat of COVID and pandemic, and Indians also started to question this inflation and everything. And again, the fear psychosis every day they are trying to create. For politicians, no mandates, as you have seen. They crisscross, they meet, they hug each other. And how innocent Indians or students are being enforced with these mandates. In the midst of all this, is it just a PR exercise? And Japan, being in the midst of all the revolution and automobile revolution or whatever it is it just taking advantage, but having an international meet when the other side, flip side, World Economic Forum, our people are rushing there to the businessmen arranged by World Economic Forum, another business forum, instead of salvaging our own pride and interest. Things are happening, as rightly pointed out Qamar Aghaji, sorry. Let us wait. But in this wait, are Indians going to gain? Nothing is discussed, nothing is disclosed except headliners. So much of money, so many jobs, and God knows there is no discussion after every such type of bilateral or the Quad or BRICS. Why these meetings? In which larger public interest these meetings? How people are going to get benefited without destroying our environment, our traditions, without enslaving our human resources, coupled with natural resources. For that matter, every country thinks that way. At least there in developed countries, they speak in their forums, they have to intimate public. But is the same thing happening in India? For that matter, in Australia? God knows. So this is for now from DRTSPR show tonight, and we will get Qamar Aghaji again on this topic as things seriously emerge. He is the one and the only one, because we don't take sides, we discuss issues that to a larger public interest. Because when we say Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu, when you want to be expansionist as China, dictatorial regimes with corruption, what is happening in Sri Lanka and other countries, and dictatorial regimes dictating terms to the world, is it going to augur well for people participatory constitutional democracies, the fundamental rights of the people and the sovereign rights of the countries, and the citizens are the owners of their natural resources. At the same time, their human resources should also not be looted as being done in the dictatorial regimes. Thank you, sir. Take care. For all the Indians, we say Sukhanidra Shubharatri. For the world over, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It should be a wake-up call for all of you to think what is happening, why it is happening, and in whose interest all these things are happening. Otherwise, you'll be enslaved, as has been happening during the pandemic. Take care. Bye, sir. Thanks a lot.